Hi guys, welcome to my garage. My name is Alfie and today I want to show you the unpacking and installation of my scissor lift that I recently purchased. Okay, let me explain to you what is this lift, how much it cost, why I chose this particular model and what other options was I considering. So the obvious choice for anyone tinkering with cars and has the required space is to install a regular two-post lift. And that is where my first problem lies. I have a two-car garage, but it is barely wide enough for two cars and it is just about 2.8 meters tall. So two-post lift would not fit in my space, and even if it would, I couldn't raise the car high enough to work underneath it while standing. Therefore, my only real options were these mid-rise scissor lifts or low-rise lifts like QuickCheck. I know QuickChecks are widely popular and I think they are great, however they are not cheap. Over here in Europe they cost about 2300 euros and they can raise the car about 50 centimeters, which is frankly in my view not much better than using regular jack stands. So in terms of value and utilizing most of my space, I decided to look for mid-rise scissor lifts. Now there are multiple big name brand options like Bandpack, Nussbaum or Twinbosch, but price-wise they are just way too expensive for me and just far beyond what I was willing to spend for my home garage. And frankly, I didn't even see any added value, so either in features or security compared to Chinese copycat lifts like this one. I'm happy to be corrected, but from what I saw, for example, Nussbaum is not even using any physical locks on their scissor lifts. They fully rely on hydraulics, which frankly to me is weird, but I'm sure they work just well. So with that, I was really looking for cheap options, which are basically the lifts from China, and they are priced around $1,500 for a lift like this. But yeah, obviously that would have to be imported from China, and that's an issue I wasn't willing to go through. So I wanted to buy the lift locally in my country as I wanted to have some sort of warranty and I just didn't want to bother with importing from China. So in my country nowadays these mid-rise scissor lifts are priced just below 2000 euros and up to 2800 euros. Well, I recall they were cheaper a couple years back, but hey, what can we do? I guess everything is more expensive nowadays. So this is supposedly a Polish lift called KPN 3500 and it cost me about 2500 euros, which I can tell you upfront is quite a lot for a no-name brand mid-rise scissor lift like this. And the reason why I chose this after investigating multiple options is simply its size. Most of these cheaper lifts are only 1700 millimeters wide and the space between platforms is only about 70 centimeters. And this one was the only lift which is more than 20 centimeters wider and has about 85 centimeters wide space between the two platforms. So basically it is way much bigger and my car can fit on it much better than on the smaller sized lifts. I was also considering how am I going to store this lift so that I can still park two cars in the garage. Even though the lift is mobile and can be moved around, I don't have any spare space where I could store it. So the best way seems to be to just leave it in place and drive the car over it for parking. So now that the lift was here, I had to figure out how I'm gonna remove it from wooden packaging. As you can see, I used two jack stands and a piece of wood to hang one side of the lift in the air, while I cut out a piece of wood on the other side so I can get underneath the lift with the regular hydraulic jack. At this point, the lift was in the air, so I could pull the pellet wood from underneath. And all I had to do now was to use the supplied wheels and put them on the lift, and then remove the wood blocks from underneath. Obviously, there are multiple ways how this can be done, but this way of unpacking worked quite well, and I think most of you will have a jack stands and a regular car jack in your garage anyway. So at this point, the lift was down on its wheels, it was fully unpacked, so I had to begin the installation. So I'm starting with the installation of these ramps, which is really simple. You just remove these circlips from the end of the rods, then you put the ramp on its place and you just slide back the rod. Very simple. It takes literally a minute to do one of them. Let's now have a look inside of the controller box. Okay, so here we can see the inside. So it's a 3-phase motor, 400 volts. On the bottom is the hydraulics pump. On the side there is the connection for the hydraulics and the valve, which you can set the speed, how it goes down. And this side is locked off. On the front is the release valve, and on the bottom is the tank for the hydraulics oil. Okay, so it's a couple days later now, and I couldn't finish the lift installation and test out last week because I realized I'm missing two critical components, and that would be the hydraulic oil and also a connector. So I connected the plug at this moment and also put in oil about 7 liters, and I guess now we are ready to test it out. Okay, so let's test this out. So that was pretty uneventful. Everything worked on the first try. So yeah. So as you can see, the issue I'm having is that all the hydraulic lines and cables are in the middle of my garage, and that's definitely something I need to do about. So what I will try and do is see if I can swap out these hydraulic lines and move them through this tube on the other end. So the lift is pretty simple. I mean, there is one hydraulic line coming from the controller and splitting into two hydraulic lines. One of them is going to one cylinder and second is going over there to the second cylinder. So what I need to do is basically remove these hydraulic lines, pull them out from the tube and just move them to the other side. Now I will have to do the same with the cables, but the issue is that the cable, which is coming from this sensor on this side, it's basically not long enough to come all the way across to the other side. So I will probably have to prolong the cables a bit, and the rest of it should be doable. So let's get to it.
It shouldn't fall down on me, hopefully. Okay. Okay, so there's still some pressure. If you try and clean it up. Okay. So I made some mess.
Okay, so the fittings are covered with just some rubber glove, and yeah, I will now just try and pull these out, see how it goes. So this one has a big connector. I don't think I'll be able to push it out, so I need to remove the pins.
So removing the lines was the easier part. Now I just have to put them back from the other side somehow. Oh, and somehow sort out these cables because the cables are wrong length. Okay, so the hydraulics are now connected, so everything is coming out the other side. I tightened down both the fittings. So yeah, now it remains to do a bit of cleanup. There is a lot of oil everywhere, and then I'll work on the cables. Okay, so the cables are pulled, but I messed up. As you can see, this cable should go underneath that steel, not over. But I think it will be easier for me just to remove that sensor and just turn it around. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so now just the connectors are going back. So
Oh, by the way, the quality doesn't matter. These are simple electromagnets. So
okay, so at this stage it seems everything is connected. The connections are all on the other side next to the wall the way I wanted it. So yeah, I guess it remains to be tested out. Okay guys, so as you can see, I put underneath the lift some kind of rubber mat. I had this material just lying at home. It's some kind of foamy rubber, something like that. So I put it underneath the lift in order to try and prevent slippage on the floor. So I'll see how that goes. Nevertheless, I discovered a different issue with the lift, and it feels to me that it's taking quite a long time for it to go up before it goes down. So let's see. So I'll try and go down. You see, it comes up quite a big height. And I think this is a timer where you can set how long the lift will go up before it goes down. So let me try and modify that a bit. We'll see if it improves. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, so first I'm going up. Okay, let's see. This is my height. I will set it down on the ramps. Or the locks, whatever they are called, and now I will try and go down. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so here inside the box, this is really the timer, and if you look carefully, I mean, it's not really visible on the video, but you can see numbers there. So now the red needle is at 2, so it's 2 seconds that the motor will go up. Before it was set to 3.5 seconds, so I almost halved it down. Okay, that's much better. Okay guys, so the lift is installed. I'm happy with it so far. I've changed the setting even down to 1 second, so yeah, it really just goes up very little time, and I think it should be fine. So tomorrow I'll test it out with the car and see how it goes, but so far it looks okay. Well, thank you very much for watching. See you next time.